Hey,
Okay?
Moina.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can add one more thing. When I was Accenture, I used to go through the review the final candidate before we hire. We in Accenture we have three to four interview process. After that final one is the one I used to be the one, okay, saying this candidate is hired or not. So many times what I used to do see for leadership role, like if somebody is doing any activity, let's say in a community, any leadership, if they are part of, for example, like Toastmasters is a
Mhm.
leadership communication group. So I do, if I see somebody has like any kind of community or international they're part of, uh, then it kind of catches my attention. Hey, this person has some leadership experience and it's a leadership role right away. Before even I go further, then I make a 30 seconds quickly saying, oh, this could be good candidate. All right.
Mm.
So yes, I think it's right. If you have anything where it's international organization you're part of, or community leadership activities, professional organization, it's good to have that.
Yeah, and actually, let me add something there. You actually bring a good point, Mushi. So when it comes to this kind of, let's say additional information, I would reverse engineer it, okay? And look at the company that I'm applying to. Look at the people that were more likely than look to either hire me, whether it's HR or the actual executives that I'll be working for, depending on my field of expertise or the department, and look at the people on LinkedIn that work for those companies and see what kind of people they are, okay? And see, perhaps you may actually get something that may make you look attractive by including something that's extra that you saw on LinkedIn, knowing that that's what that person had or interested in, that space. So by the way, I want to give you something information. I've never got a job just by applying blindly. Every job I've received or went after, I got it because I hustled and talked to the source or talked to the people that are going to hire me. I never applied blindly because my resume, honestly, if you look at it, it's so crazy in terms of experiences, it doesn't make sense. And maybe I have it here, I'll share it with you later. But my point is that I moved from architecture to development to finance to venture capital. How did that whole world come about? It's a long story. But I knew what I wanted and I went after it. So again, it's in the end, it's about human connection. And this is what Mushi is providing, Speak to Connect. He's allowing you to a platform to network, to engage, to learn from each other, because in the end, you're dealing with humans. All you have to do is just reach to somebody and you will get perhaps what you're looking for. And if you get a no, guess what? There's somebody else out there that will give you what you're looking for. Because in the end, people are good. They want to help each other out. And guess what? If you don't know, if that person says no to you, you've actually done a lot of your homework. You don't want to work for people like that. Because in the end, we want to work for people that we can believe in, that we respect, and that we can learn from. That's how you grow. So going back to the presentation, sorry, that was my philosophy there. But these are the do's and don'ts of a resume, okay? And I think I'll let you guys read it, and I'll talk maybe about a few of them. And like we said, you tailor your objective and your resume for the position that you're going for, okay? And like I said, you focus on the PARS method, right? Specific results of your work and your achievement, okay? Action verbs, nothing much to talk about there. All you know about that. Again, less is more. You don't need more than one page in most cases. And don'ts are obvious, right? I hope none of you use the me's, the my's, the I's, okay? Don't say making copies, whether it's your high school student or an intern. Do not do that, okay? When you use acronyms and jargon, make sure you define that if it's not well known for that specific company that you're applying to, okay? And for sure, never mention salary negotiable. You're literally cutting yourself by the knees by doing that, okay? Same thing with references that we talked about, okay? And never, obviously, lie or exaggerate because you'll get called out on it, okay? And again, you don't need to say that you're laid off or fired from your last position. Nobody needs to know that, okay? And I'll tell you, my career, things happened to my life, but nobody knows what had happened because I always show the positive. Now, I made sure on the side, I've always hustled and done something else, but in the end, you make sure that you protect yourself, right, and your self-respect in the end. So we'll go a little bit about, again, different kinds of resumes. You probably know all this. I'll skip a few things. You don't need to see all this, but here it is. So again, parse method is important. No more than 2 pages, like we said. Skills should be summarized, which I'll show you later on. For sure, no spelling mistakes. Make sure correct punctuation. Have somebody else look at your resume. Read through it. Maybe one or 2 people extra. I'll do another session, hopefully on interviews, that will be helpful maybe later on, inshallah. In terms of verbs, again, these are all online available. So look at verbs that are successful, right? These are some of them. Okay, there's a long list out there. So pull out Google, a dictionary, resume book. You'll see all these action verbs. Try to utilize these verbs. Okay? Okay, so here's an example. Let me just zoom in so everyone can see a little bit more. Again, this will be available for everyone by Mushi. Again, you can see the structure of this resume. This is what I like to see. So you're seeing the experience. You're seeing the quantifiable experience there, numbers. Okay, you see the area of expertise, very well laid out. Because this guy has been in his career for a while, he has put education last, which makes sense. If you're a student still, or just graduated, have education first, especially if you went to a good school. Okay, be proud of that fact. Okay, let people know that you're just getting out of college or your master's degree and looking for a job. Nothing wrong with that. So I'm not a big fan of resumes with pictures, so that's why I say optional. And it really depends on the firm that you're going for. But if you do a picture, make sure it's clean, like you have on LinkedIn, I hope, if not better. So there's strategies on how to have a good picture online. I don't need to go into that, okay? Again, personal information really depends on where you're applying to. They may require that, others don't. The US, you're not allowed to share information. How old you are, you're married or not, where you're from, okay? So I hope everybody knows that if you're in the US. Again, a cover letter is always great because it shows you that you took an extra initiative, an extra step to apply to the job, and really highlighting anything that was not shared in your resume. Okay, why do you want to work for this company? Why do you feel so passionate about this industry? Why do you want to switch gears from X to Z with no experience in between? Okay. So actually, here's a cool strategy as well. So again, given that we're in the technological revolution or the information world, now we have different ways to highlight our experience. You can have links. You can have your GitHub if you're technical. If you're an artist or a designer, Behance. If you're a presenter or somebody who does a lot of presentations, SlideShare, or you would like to share content. This way people can get to know you outside of your resume. What do you do in your free time? That's the key, right? This is how people know if you're passionate about the industry. What do you do in your free time? Okay? And like I said, LinkedIn must be the same as the resume. I'll skip a little bit about the scannable computer-friendly resumes. Again, this is available. But suffice to say, you want to make sure that the words in the resume are easily searchable, okay? And sometimes you might have to print it out differently or not have a lot of formatting, if you will, for scannable and computer-friendly resumes because they may not be able to scan it. So when you apply something online through like a database, like a quick, say, a profile career page, where they say submit your resume, the safe bet would be to do a scannable, computer-friendly resume, as opposed to a resume that's PDF with a lot of bullet points or a lot of design. So be careful because you actually may cut yourself out of the running because they couldn't read or even access your resume. So call in perhaps if you can, see if they got your resume, if there's anything that you can do else to provide. If it's a small firm, if it's a larger firm, most likely it'd be very hard to do that. Again, what do we have here? So basically, again, these are some guidelines and rules. I'll leave this for you to read at your own leisure. I don't want to go over too much time to have enough time for questions. Key thing is to create summaries. and don't squeeze everything on one page just to have one page. If you have to release to a second page, do so, but scanners like white pages is better. And obviously the text that you use, make sure it's plain text, not a lot of crazy fonts. And also word choice and languages. So let me actually talk about word choice and language job description. So my strategy for searching for a new job, for example, or a new industry, is I look at multiple resumes in that industry. I pull out the things that make sense. Oh, this actually is pretty cool. Let me use this. Now, I'm not going to copy verbatim what that is, but I'm going to use that to inspire me to write something similar to that language in that resume. So I will look at maybe hundreds of resumes. I will go to the bookstore, the library, and look at resume books and see how do they describe this role, okay? Or how do they talk about somebody who wants to get you in this sector. And then I basically have tons of paper around me, whether it's Post-its, on a Word document, and just write, brainstorm. The resume will not come automatically into one clean 2 pages, okay? It will take time. I've had documents myself where I had literally tens of pages or 20 pages of notes just to write a single paragraph, perhaps, okay? Again, it requires some diligence, some forethought, some research even, okay? And nothing wrong with that, okay? Just use it to your advantage. The information is out there. Just grab it. So again, this goes back to talking about scannable computer-friendly resumes. Again, if you're doing this route, make sure it's plain text only and the fonts are clear and everything else that I share here. Okay, and then again, big one for me is resume should not be images because it will not be read by these machines. So please be careful. And for sure, have the phone number, email address on its own line, and also your name and address below as well. And make sure this is not squeezed because otherwise it may not be able to read it. So make it as easy as possible for a dumb machine to read your resume, especially if you're sending it into just a career profile page, right? You have more leeway if you're emailing somebody directly by their email address. Otherwise, just have, again, multiple versions of the same resume even, perhaps. So I'm giving you here just some examples, and these are some links that you can click into, hopefully, or just copy and paste these websites. So I went to Columbia University, so I refer to this because I used it personally, and I actually like their pages. I think even if you didn't go to Columbia, this is probably available to you. I'll double check that, but you can do that as well. I know for sure this Tuck Dartmouth education website works very well. And what I like about this, it has a lot of resume examples of different industries. For people who actually are physically there this year, for example, 2013-14, who went to school looking for jobs. And it highlights a few things I'll show you a little bit later on. So I don't want to jump too much, but I want to show you this resume. This is actually, by the way, a founder. He's a founder of a company called Liwa, which is a peer-to-peer lending, a Sharia-compliant peer-to-peer lending platform based out of Dubai in Jordan. Okay, he is Palestinian by background, went to actually my high school by chance, but I don't know him personally. Anyway, what I want to highlight here is obviously his clean resume as a technical person, but this also can be used for someone who's non-technical, by the way. So please listen up. What we have here is obviously the experience, very nice and clean, and you can see he worked at ITSE, based out of New York and other places. Okay, what I like best about this resume is this section here. I'm gonna just zoom in a little bit so everybody can see it. You can see how Samir highlighted his professional skills. Now you can use that in any industry, whether it's technical or non-technical. But I wanted to show you that this is a good way to highlight your experience and your skills. Okay, and here we can go to the next page over. You can see how he put additional information, languages here, degrees and awards, research skills. So again, this is a good example, and this will be obviously available to you with Mushi as well. So here's another example of a resume that again I'll zoom in, zoom out as needed, but this is just the overall look of it. All right. And I'll tell you what I like, what not like about this. So this is a great one, especially for those who are actually working for anywhere between 2 to 5 to 10 years even. Summary of who they are, what they're good at, broken down by, let's call it fields, if you want to call it that. Here is great. It tells me quickly what are they good at. Okay. By the way, if you're a student, I did the same thing here, and I would call it courses, right, or coursework, for example, if you're a student. Okay, and list out the courses that are relevant for that job specifically. Each job will obviously may have its own courses that you might want to highlight. And if you're a student, you don't need more than probably 6 to 9, I would say. Okay, this is a little bit too much in my opinion, but again, he's a little bit more experienced perhaps. So here you can see his experience, title, company, years. Again, nice. So basically, it tells me about the company itself. Again, this is too much, I think, for the company. But here, actually, sorry, he talks about what he did, led businesses in blah, blah, blah. Okay? And then talks about some of the quantifiable things that he's achieved at this job. Same thing here. Highlight of the company, what it does. If it's confidential, say confidential. Nothing wrong with that. Just describe the role that you were there for. Let me just zoom out. Again, this is a different format. You have 2 columns of resumes here. One shows expertise differently here. It shows it on the left side, as you can see. And then you can see languages, okay, personal skills, okay, content. Again, this works for somebody who doesn't have too much experience and wants to use the whole white page, if you will, and kind of make it look good without being too dense because you don't have that experience. Or maybe you can summarize it this well in one page resume. So this is a good one.